Fame can be flashy, but there's always more to the story. Here, we go beyond the headlines and talk about the people, patterns, and moments behind the spotlight. It's thoughtful, it's real, and it's never just surface level. Welcome to Talk Fame to Me. I'm the voice behind the fame. Fam, guess what, guys? You guys would not believe me if I tell you that this is my third time recording this video. The other two videos did not have audio, and those videos were like over an hour long. But my thing is, I do not give up, I do not lose. Okay, so this is my third time attempting this video, so my voice is going to be a little, my throat is sore. Okay, so I might sound a little off because this is my third time recording it. So we're going to do this again because I mean, it is what it is. Okay. Fam, welcome back to Talk Fame to Me with B.Lynette. Now, today we're not going off of headlines and we're definitely not going off of rumors. We're going straight to the paperwork because sitting in front of me right now is a full 32-page file involving Pooh Shiesty and his label head, the CEO of 1017 Gucci Mane. Now, according to this document, the situation traces back to January 10th, the day of Gucci Mane was allegedly kidnapped and robbed in an incident tied to his own artist Pooh Shiesty, which ultimately led to arrests being made 3 months later. So today, we're going to go through this paperwork and get a clearer picture of what allegedly happened that day, line by line, detail by detail. And we're not stopping there because Gucci Mane also responded musically, dropping a diss record aimed at Pooh Shiesty. So in the next video, we're going to read those lyrics, break them down, and I'm going to give my full thoughts on what's really being said. But for now, this is a 32-page file. So go ahead and get comfortable because we're about to get into it. Let's start this reading again. All right, so right here we have United States of America versus Lontrell Williams Jr., which is Pooh Shiesty, Lontrell Williams Sr., which is his father, Rodney Wright Jr., Demarcus Glover, Darian McDaniel, Terrence Rogers, Corday Johnson, Kadarius Waters, and Demarion Gibson. Now, I can't remember which one is Big 30, but we will find that out later on in the documents. Okay. All right. So right here, they talk about Brittany Garcia. She's a special agent for the FBI. So basically, it's telling you guys about like what she do and what she do in her profession. Okay, to make sure she is qualified to report this. Okay. And she's basically saying that this is based on her personal knowledge as well as information provided to her by, law enforcement officers that participated in the investigation. Since this affidavit, excuse me, is being submitted for the limited purpose of establishing probable cause for a complaint. I have not included every fact known to me concerning this investigation, which means that we'll add something later if need to be. Come on now, you got to pay attention to that wording. All right, so based on the facts set forth below, there is probable cause to believe that on or about January 10th, 2026, in the Northern District of Texas and elsewhere, the following individuals violated 18 U.S.S.C. 1201 A and C by knowingly combining, conspiring, and agreeing with other persons, known and unknown, to commit offenses against the United States, to wit, unlawfully seizing, confining, inveigling, decoying, kidnapping, abducting, and carrying away for a ransom or reward any person. All right, so this is the names of the alleged suspects. So the probable cause on January 10th, which is an overview, God, overview of the kidnapping. On January 10th, 2026, at approximately 4:50 p.m., victims who will be referred to throughout this affidavit by their initials or collecting as the victim or collectively as the victims. RD, MM, and BP were kidnapped and robbed. I'm trying to push through this, guys. Like I said, this is my third time. Something tells me that I shouldn't put this video out, guys. I don't know why, but I'm still doing it anyways because I'm a little hard-headed sometimes. So RD is Gucci Mane, MM and BP were kidnapped and robbed at gunpoint at a music studio located on Dallas Parkway in Dallas, Texas. This location is within the Dallas division of Northern District of Texas. At approximately 1 p.m. on January 10th, 2026, the victims flew into Dallas, Texas alongside Gucci Mane's head of security, referred to as CW, and other security officers referred to as TD, for a scheduled business meeting between Gucci Mane and suspect Williams Jr., which is Pooh Shiesty. He is a hip hop artist known as Pooh Shiesty and has been signed to a recording contract for RD's music label 1017 since approximately 2021. RD and Williams Jr. was scheduled to meet. Oh, I got a phone call. It's okay. Scheduled to meet because Williams Jr. was upset with the terms of his contract and wished to be released from his contractual obligations. Williams Jr. had asked Gucci Mane to come to Dallas on this date so they could meet about business. So that sounds like he lured Gucci Mane there. At approximately 1:45 p.m., CWTD and the victims arrived at the scheduled meeting location, a music recording studio located within a larger office building. When CWTD and the victims entered the office building, they realized the recording studio owned by an individual referred to as JN was closed. While they waited for the studio to open, the five went to a liquor store and purchased liquor in plastic red solo cups before returning to the studio. So that was the first red flag there. That was letting you guys know, okay, the studio is closed. It was letting you guys know to turn around, stop, go back home. But instead, they went to the liquor store and waited for the studio to open. So moving on. Williams Jr.'s father, William Sr., called JN multiple times on the day of the meeting. At approximately 2:53 p.m., JN answered the phone and learned that William Sr., the dad, was attempting to book a recording studio that afternoon for Williams Jr., Pooh Shiesty, and Gucci Mane, which is RD, to record music. At or around 3:15 p.m., JN opened the studio for RD, MM, BP, CW, and TD. Investigators later collected and reviewed surveillance video captured at another business located in the same office building on the same floor as the recording studio, which shows William Sr. outside of the office building at approximately 3:27 p.m. on January 10th, 2026, which is pictured left, which is my right. William Sr. appears to be speaking with someone on his cell phone before entering the building at or around 3:28 p.m. At approximately 3:39 p.m., an employee of the studio arrived to assist with production. When the employee arrived, Williams Jr. and Williams Sr. were standing at the door of the office building, engaged in what appeared to be an argument over the phone. Okay. At approximately 3:43 p.m., Williams Jr., Williams Sr., Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, Gibson, Glover, and McDaniel entered the east side of the office building. The target suspects walked through the lobby area of the office building before going inside the studio. One individual with a dreadlock hairstyle, later identified as Gibson, can be seen on video exiting the office building and shortly thereafter returning with a bag slung over his shoulders. And here's the picture of that right here. Okay, so number 9. The 9 individuals entered the studio's control room where inside the victims were watching a football game. CW was positioned in the studio lobby while TD remained in the vehicle they arrived in. Depicted below are photographs of the studio lobby, the studio control room, and the studio recording room taken from Dallas Police Department body camera and crime scene photographs captured on the night of the offense. Okay, so Wright is the one that is known as the hip hop artist Big 30. Okay, so when I say Wright, that is Big 30. I talked about Big 30 on one of my shorts on my page. So if you're not familiar with Big 30, go take a look at that YouTube short. All right, so number 10, the victims overheard Williams Jr. talking on his cell phone, potentially with a probation officer or parole officer, stating that his caseworker had given him permission to be out for rec time. From what the victims could hear, Williams Jr. was informed that was not the case, and he needed to return immediately. Williams Jr. agreed. Williams Jr. was wearing an ankle monitor, leading the victims to believe that Williams Jr. was on house arrest. Okay, so that let you know right there that Pooh Shiesty was not supposed to be at the location that he was at. He's on house arrest. He did not get the okay. He say he got the okay, but the probation officer said otherwise. And the ankle monitor, it ties him to the location of the studio. Okay, so Gucci Mane told Williams Jr. they could reschedule their studio session, but Williams Jr. requested to speak with RD privately. And you know what? That was another red flag. So it's like he was getting stopped at every corner, but he didn't pay attention to the signs. First, the studio wasn't open. That was right there. He could have turned around and went home. Then the second time, he spoke with his probation officer, and he wasn't even supposed to be in a location. And then Gucci Mane said, we can reschedule. So that's 3 times that he could have turned around and said, forget it. But he kept going. See, he didn't pay attention to the signs. So RD told Williams Jr. they could reschedule their studio session, but Williams Jr. requested to speak with Gucci Mane privately in the attached recording room. RD agreed and entered the recording room with Williams Jr., Williams Sr., and Wright, which is Big 30. Meanwhile, MM and BP remained in the control room with the 6 other individuals and continued to watch the football game. BP offered to share the liquor they purchased with the target suspects, and at least 2 accepted, grabbing the red cups and making a drink. In the control room, Williams Jr. produced purported contract, termination, or release paperwork from a bag and told RD to sign it. When RD declined, Williams Jr. became agitated, and the pair started to argue. MM and BP could see inside the recording room and initially believed Gucci Mane and Pooh Shiesty to be discussing business. But as MM saw the conversation intensifying, he texted CW, who was still in the music studio's lobby. As the argument inside the recording room ensued, Williams Jr. instructed Wright to get his bag. Wright complied, leaving the recording room before returning with a bag. William Jr. then pulled what appeared to be a black AK-style pistol from the bag and pointed it at Gucci Mane, demanding again that RD sign the contractual release paperwork. Gucci Mane, he complied, signing the paperwork for Pooh Shiesty, while Pooh Shiesty's father and Big 30 stood by Gucci Mane, was not allowed to leave the recording room while he was held at gunpoint by Shiesty. All right. I'm going to use their government names, okay? I hope you guys can follow along. Wright pulled out a cell phone and purported it to record RD signing the paperwork while being forced to say that he released Williams Jr. from their contract. After the release was signed, Williams Jr. took RD's wedding ring, watch, earrings, and cash. So not only did you guys force him to sign a contract, you guys robbed him. As if that wasn't enough. After RD signed the contractual release paperwork, Williams Jr. provided the paperwork to Williams Sr. and asked him if the paperwork was good. Williams Sr. advised that the paperwork needed to be dated. So Williams Jr. then forced RD to add a date next to his signature. As RD, Williams Jr., Williams Sr., and Wright exited the recording room, the remaining subjects, Waters, Rogers, Johnson, Glover, McDaniel, and Gibson, produced handguns or AR-AK style pistols and began to demand property from BP and MM. I think BP and MM is the off-duty officers or the security that was with Gucci Mane. So they basically robbed them. BP was pushed onto the couch in control room while an individual known to BP as CMO, damn fool, and part of the Williams Jr. crew, later identified as Rogers, searched his pockets and stole his wallet. BP's chain and necklace bearing the moniker 1017 were stolen from his neck by another subject he knew as Glizzy 375, later identified as McDaniel. During the robbery, McDaniel repeatedly threatened to shoot BP for moving, but Williams Jr. instructed McDaniel not to. So Pooh Shiesty told him not to shoot him. BP further identified an individual he knew as Baby Slime 375, later identified as Johnson, as being, one second, guys. What is the area code in 375 in Memphis, Tennessee? I can't even get the words out.
Do you want me to use ChatGPT to answer that?
No, let's search the web. I need to know what's this 375. Okay, it's not an area code in Memphis as it say, but who knows, y'all. Anyways, all right. So they identified Baby Slime 375, later identified as Johnson, as being involved in the kidnapping and robbery, and that during the control room robberies, Johnson possessed a firearm and held BP and others at gunpoint. Both MM and BP identified an individual they knew as KD, later identified as Waters, as also being involved in a kidnapping and robbery, possessing a firearm and holding them at gunpoint. So right here is a picture of his scratched neck and his scratched wrist. MM was choked from behind to the point of nearly losing consciousness during the kidnapping and robbery, resulting in scratches on his neck and wrist below. MM was robbed of his Rolex watch, a Louis Vuitton bag containing multiple other high dollar watches. One second, let me scroll. All right. Apple AirPods, headphones, and his wallet at gunpoint by Glover. MM confirmed his Louis Vuitton bag, AirPods, and wallet each had an Apple AirTag, a location tracking device, attached. Wow. So not only did you guys beat the man up or scratch the man up at gunpoint, stole his belongings, but you guys are getting tracked with the belongings. Now watch the FBI walk y'all down. As the altercation inside the control room ensued, Wright walked over to the studio door to the lobby, closed it, and blocked it with his body, preventing the victims from leaving, which is a part of the kidnapping now. They're talking about the kidnapping. CW and TD, the victims' security guards, watched Wright barricade the door in an attempt to force their way into the control room, but were prevented from entering. With handguns drawn, CW and TD managed to partially open the door, but recognized that they were outnumbered by the armed target suspect. So look, they tried to fight their way out. Okay, but once they realized they was outnumbered, they couldn't do anything but surrender. RD was pushed onto the couch in the control room. So they pushed down Gucci Mane, causing the victims to believe they were going to be executed. So when they pushed him down, most likely they pointed the gun at him to make Gucci Mane feel like he was going to be executed. Williams Jr. placed the barrel of a firearm to the back of BP's head and ordered him and RD to leave the control room and the studio through the west entrance of the office building. RD then instructed CW and TD to escort them to their vehicle as the victims left. MM turned to Williams Jr. and asked him if they were really taking his watches. Of course, they're taking your watches. These are guys that they really live the raps, okay? They live what they rap about. So if they can point guns at you, they can force Gucci Mane to sign a contract and then take their time to take the watches off of you guys, take Gucci Mane's jewelry. Of course, they're taking the watches. Based on the later recovered surveillance video footage, the target suspects left the studio and the office building through the east entrance at approximately 4:48 p.m. All right, let's see. All right, so what we're going to do is read the fine print. MM later told law enforcement that he was able to identify his robber by his Instagram handle, Twin CMO, later identified as DeMarcus Glover. MM provided investigators screenshots of the last recorded locations of the Apple AirTags, specifically the last location for the AirTags on the Louis Vuitton bag and AirPods was off the Dallas North Tollway. So the suspects was driving down the tollway, down the highway, right? Boom. Here's the Apple AirTag is tracking their every move and they don't even know it. So just south of Sam Rayburn Tollway in Plano, as the target suspects drove north on the Dallas North Texas Tollway after the offense, they would have passed through this area. The last location for the AirTag on the wallet was at a parking lot that services both the apartment where Pooh Shiesty's father currently has a leased apartment and where Pooh Shiesty is believed to reside, and the Star in Fresco, Texas. Okay, so basically the AirTag led them back to their home. So maybe nobody would know where he really lived at unless, he have a car registered in his name and on his license, it has like his apartment address. That's the only way they could have really tracked him back from my understanding. But the Apple AirTag did the job for them. So right here is the exterior surveillance videos recovered from a neighboring building, which showed a white Buick Enclave, a black Dodge Charger Hellcat, and a black Dodge Ram with a distinct roller bar affixed to the bed of the truck traveling northbound shortly after the kidnapping and robbery. So they were able to find pictures of the vehicle that was used in the robbery and kidnapping of Gucci Mane from a neighboring building. According from the cameras of a neighboring building. According to the law enforcement databases, Wright's father, also named as Rodney White. Oh, Wright's father. So that's Big 30's father. Owns a 22 Dodge Charger Hellcat bearing the Tennessee license plate. Oh. So he did a crime in his dad's car? All right. So the license plate readers placed this charger in Texas, including the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex, during the relevant time period, in particular, a 2:18 p.m. scan on January 10th, 2026, captured the charger following in close proximity to a black Dodge Ram bearing Arkansas license plates. The Dodge Ram appears to have the same distinct roller bar as the Dodge Ram captured on surveillance video near the offense location later that afternoon. So, do you guys think that Big 30's father, because I know that he's going to be questioned about the car, maybe you think he's going to say, well, I didn't have that car. My son was driving that car. Let me know in the comments. LPR scans at or around 5:04 p.m. on January 10th, 2026, placed the charger traveling in close proximity to a white Buick Enclave bearing Texas license plates. This Enclave returns with Hertz Rental as its registered owner. Well, first of all, his dad doesn't have to say anything because they have pictures. All right. So the Buick Enclave was a rental at Hertz, okay? So now the rental was brought back in, returned to the rental company, and guess what happened afterwards? Yes, the investigators subpoenaed the Hertz Corporation for information associated with the enclave. On January 14th, 2026, Hertz responded, providing information including that the white Buick Enclave bearing Texas license plates had been rented by, guess who? None other than Pooh Shiesty's father, Williams Sr., on December 29th, 2025, with a return date of January 11th. Wow. So he had that Buick for almost a month. And the return date just happened to be the date after the alleged kidnapping and robbery. The records further revealed the enclave was still rented to Williams Sr. at the time of January 10th. Kidnapping and robbery, right? Location information provided by Hertz in response to a search warrant detailed the movements of the Buick Enclave on January 10th to the 11th. These records corroborated the LPR scans and confirmed the enclave was at or near the offense location January 10th. All right, moving on. Let's see, what does this fine print say? Law enforcement initially believed the Hellcat was registered to Wright, but upon further investigation, learned that it was actually registered to his father. All right, so now let's talk about Williams Jr. Let's talk about Pooh Shiesty with this electronic location monitoring device, aka his house arrest, okay, bracelet. Williams Jr. is currently serving a 63-month sentence for violation of 18 U.S.S.C. 924, which means it's conspiracy to possess firearms in furtherance of violent and drug trafficking crimes. Okay, so basically he's locked up. It doesn't seem as if he's locked up because of these charges just of yet. Is that, at least from what I am reading right now, he is serving a 63-month sentence for violation of probation, basically. According to records received from the Bureau of Prisons, Williams Jr. was approved for home detention on or about October 30th, 2025, as part of his conditions for home detention. Williams Jr. agreed to not possess any deadly weapons or knowingly be in the company of a person possessing the same. Pooh Shiesty is a convicted felon. When you are a convicted felon, you cannot have firearms and you cannot be in company of someone that has firearms, especially when you're on probation, because obviously it's a violation of that contract. All right. So additionally, Williams Jr. is required to wear the monitor bracelet. Okay, and he is monitored by the Bureau of Prisons. Investigators received partial records associated with Williams Jr. electronic monitoring device, including the location data from January 9th to 2026 and January 10th, 2026. These records corroborated the information investigators received regarding Williams Jr.'s movements, including his location at or near the offense location on January 10th. Now, moving on, guys, let's talk about this Staples situation. So, for some of you guys that don't know what Staples is, I'm not sure if they have it in every state, but Staples is a company that sells like office supplies or somewhere that you can go to print out paperwork or make copies of paperwork. Okay. So, on the day of the offense at approximately 1:50 p.m., Williams Sr. was seen on video entering a Staples located at 3333 Preston Road, Frisco, Texas. His rented Buick Enclave can be seen on surveillance video parking near the front of the store, after which Williams Sr. entered the store and walks up to the copy printer machines. Investigators obtained a copy of a receipt that confirms that a transaction occurred at the copy printer machines like at 1:59 p.m. The time Williams Sr. is seen on surveillance video near the machines due to the close timing of the visit to Staples prior to the offenses. All right. Fact that Williams Sr. went straight to the printing area of the store and the timing of the receipt confirming a transaction occurred while Williams Sr. was at or near these printers. Investigators believe that Williams Sr. and Williams Jr. went to Staples for the purpose of printing off the contractual release that was presented to RD. So even if they was to say that we were not there to talk about the contract, okay, or this situation is not premeditated, like we were not conspiring to commit this crime, this right here shows that they were. Okay, he was caught at the Staples on camera printing out paperwork which they feel like is the contract. Okay, so not only were you there at the Staples, your car that was linked to the crime scene was on camera outside of the Staples. So that ties in the car into the crime, you to the crime. Gots to be more careful. All right. So now let's talk about these cell phone records. The investigators obtained cell phone records for Williams Jr., Williams Sr., Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, Gibson, and telematics location data and records for the Dodge Charger Hellcat and the Dodge Ram. Cell phone records for Glover and McDaniels are pending. The records indicate that Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, and Gibson traveled together from Memphis, Tennessee to Dallas, Texas in the Dodge Charger Hellcat and the Dodge Ram. They left Memphis on January 8th and arrived in Dallas in the early mornings of January 9th. So they left 2 days. Wait, they left on January 8th, got there January 9th, and the crime happened on January 10th. The data from Glover's electronic monitoring device aligns with these cell phone records. They were getting tracked all the way around the board. Baby, they didn't have any throwaway phones. They used their real cell phones. On January 10th, 2026, from approximately 2:28 p.m. to approximately 2:46 p.m., Williams Jr., Williams Sr., Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, Gibson, the Dodge Charger Hellcat, and the Dodge Ram were in the area of the Windrose Tower, a location Williams Jr. resided prior to moving into his new residence at 12 Cowboys. So they met up at Shiesty, Pooh Shiesty's old address. So that kind of tied Pooh Shiesty in right there. So in particular, the Dodge Charger Hellcat and the Dodge Ram were equipped with wireless data capabilities provided by AT&T. So they were tracking you through AT&T. On December 1st, 2025, all they have to do is subpoena these companies. On December 1st, 2025, Glover pled guilty to felony charges of conspiracy to commit auto burglary in DeSoto County, Mississippi. According to records received from the state of Mississippi, Glover was released on a $250,000 bond and was required to wear an electronic monitoring device by the Justice Network of Mississippi. Hold on. Do that mean two people had on house arrest bracelets? That's what it looked like, unless this was before, because this says December 1st, 2025, that Glover pled guilty to the felony charges. Okay, so he was still in the car. Okay, then he was released and he was required to wear the bracelet. Oh, okay, so that was for a previous crime. Do that mean he was wearing it during the robbery? We'll see. All right. Wade and Fresco, Texas. They all traveled together to the area of the offense location, arriving at approximately 3 p.m. The data from Williams Jr. electronic monitoring device and location information for the Buick Enclave aligned with the cell phone records. William Jr., William Sr., Wright, Waters, Rogers, Gibson, the Dodge Charger Hellcat, and the Dodge Ram traveled together from the area of the offense location, leaving at approximately 4:50 p.m. to the area of the Star in Frisco, Texas, arriving at approximately 5:07 p.m. Williams Jr., Williams Sr., Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, Gibson utilized towers with coverage that includes the Star until approximately 9:30 p.m. So that means that they were sitting in one area until 9:30 p.m. So that's about 5 hours. The data from Williams Jr.'s electronic monitoring device and location information for the Buick Enclave align with the cell phone records. So they already know that Pooh Shiesty's father rented a Buick Enclave. They also know that Pooh Shiesty's father was in that same enclave at the Staples. Okay, so now guess where else the Buick Enclave is? The Buick Enclave is right there at the Star in Frisco, Texas. Okay, so you see how he was being tracked? So he can't say it wasn't him in either of the locations. All right. Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers. Okay, boom, boom, boom. The Dodge Ram traveled together from the area of the Star in Frisco to the area of the Comfort Inn. So they left the Star and went to the Comfort Inn Hotel in Dallas, Texas, where they remained overnight. Williams Jr. and Williams Sr. remained in the area of the Star overnight. So they were at different hotels, it seems like. I'm not sure if the Star Hotel is the apartments or a hotel, but whatever it is, they were at different locations from the rest of the group. On February 24th, 2026, Flix North America Inc., which owns Greyhound bus lines, responded to a subpoena with records documenting that on January 11, 2026, Glover, Rogers, Gibson, McDaniel traveled together on a Greyhound bus from Dallas, Texas to Memphis, Tennessee. Cell phone records for Rogers and Gibson corroborate this travel. So after the fact, the next day after the kidnapping, the alleged robbery, or whatever the case is, you guys had to, even though they had vehicles, you guys had to go back on the Greyhound. So we already know where you rank at in this situation. You rank at the lower levels because they made you guys, while they drove their cars back, they made you guys take the ground Greyhound bus. So you see what I'm saying? is giving the help. And that's how they treated you guys, like the help. But they're not going to realize until they sit back and be like, wow, I was just used. But you allowed yourself to be used. So cell phone records indicate that on January 13th, 2026, Wright, Johnson, and Waters traveled together with the Dodge Ram from Dallas, Texas to Memphis, Tennessee. The Dodge Charger Hellcat was stolen from the Comfort Inn in the early morning hours of January 11th. It was reported stolen by an individual TA on January 13th at approximately 1:04 p.m. shortly after Wright left the Dallas area. So did they steal a car for the whole incident? Or did somebody steal it from them? Anyways, moving on. After reading the incident report for the stolen Dodge Charger Hellcat and analyzing cell phone records for Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, and Gibson, investigators determined they stayed at the Comfort Inn in Dallas, Texas from January 10th to the 11th. Comfort Inn records confirmed that Gibson paid for 4 rooms at the hotel. Investigators reviewed surveillance footage from the Comfort Inn and observed Wright, Johnson, Waters, Rogers, Gibson, Glover, and McDaniel inside the Comfort Inn, all clad in clothing similar to what the suspects in the kidnapping and robbery appeared to be wearing below. So below stills are stills from the offense location next to stills from the surveillance footage. So let's scroll down and take a look at that. All right, so right here, I want to read this fine print as well. Surveillance footage captured at the Windrose Tower on January 10th, 2006 shows the Buick Enclave driven by William Sr. exiting the tower's parking garage at approximately 2:30 p.m., immediately followed by a black Dodge Ram and black Dodge Charger. Johnson's phone was connected to the internet for more than two and a half hours, starting at 2:44 p.m., utilizing a tower just north of Windrose Tower. Verizon records include only the starting tower of a data session. Whew, that almost took me out. All right, so right here we have Rodney Wright. So what investigators did, or what the FBI agent did when she collected the information in the evidence, they put a picture, a side-by-side photo. Okay, so the studio photos are here at the left, right? You can barely see who they are when it comes to these studio pictures, if you notice, because they have on masks, they have on all black, so you can't really tell who's who. But what they forgot to do was put on a Shiesty mask at the hotel as well. So now they see this guy with this red writing on his sweater. So, hey, that's the same guy at the Comfort Inn. So they posted it side by side. So they're trying to let you guys know, look, it's not a case of mistaken identity. These are the suspects and they're showing the proof. So this is Rodney Wright. This is Corday Johnson. This is Kadarius. Okay, then we have Terrence Rogers, Demarion Gibson, and we have DeMarcus Glover. Moving on. Let's talk about this AFIS hits. Okay, these are the fingerprints. Okay, so these are the fingerprint experts. And this is what they had to say. On January 16th, 2026, the AFIS quality latent prints lifted from the crime scene were run through the database. That same day, a DPD forensic fingerprint expert received hit notifications that the latent prints from one red solo cup, rewind, the latent prints from one red solo cup were identified as the left ring finger of Gibson, and another fingerprint from another red solo cup was identified as the right thumb of Rogers. So not only did they rob the place, they left the evidence behind. Okay, so they were there. They were there. Okay, so number 38. Right here, we're going to talk about how the FBI identified the suspects through none other than social media, which specifically is Instagram. All right, so first they identified Pooh Shiesty, which is Williams Jr., MMBP, and Roderick Davis all personally knew Williams Jr. by both his legal name and the name under which he performs, Pooh Shiesty. So via his Instagram, he is verified, okay? And the individual depicted throughout the account matches Williams. All right, Williams Jr. MM and RD describe Williams Jr. as wearing a black Nike brand Shiesty mask, black hooded shirt, and black pants during the offense. An online search of Williams Jr. matched the individual depicted throughout. So, this is where we answer you guys' questions, okay? Because I see the internet is saying, did Gucci Mane snitch? Did Gucci Mane identify Pooh Shiesty? Yes, he did. Okay. Yes, Gucci Mane snitched on Pooh Shiesty, but he did so after the Caucasian guy up top, I can't remember what his initials was, the off-duty officer slash security guard that was choked, almost choked unconscious. Okay, you know the picture with the scratch on the neck, the scratch on the wrist. Okay, he gave them up first, and then it looks as if Gucci Mane basically confirmed. But at the same time, are you guys going to give Gucci Mane grace? Think about it. He's a father. He's a husband. If you notice, when Gucci Mane went to jail those years ago, he came back out a different person. He came back glowed up, transformed, or whatever the case is. So maybe he had some kind of awakening, like, look, I'm not going to live like this anymore. You know, maybe he's just on his CEO stuff. But at the same time, these are the people that he has under his label, people that are shiesty, people that admit in their music that they are a snake, okay, that they are slimy. So we have to make sure Gucci Mane take a little bit responsibility of that. Let's see. Yeah, are you guys evolving with Gucci Mane? Or do you guys still have this old picture in your head that this is who Gucci Mane is? This is who he was. And this is who he needs to be till the day he dies. Can people change? Can people grow older and not be on the same thing they used to be on? You guys let me know in the comments. You guys know better than me. But from a moral standpoint, I do not feel like Gucci Mane is wrong if he's not living the lifestyle that he lived in the past, because people can grow. People can grow out of eras. Some people expect people to be the same person that they was 10 years ago. And that comes with that mentality, like that crabs in a barrel. It's like people are afraid. They don't like change. They don't like when people change. And sometimes they just have it in their head that who he was 10 years ago is who he will remain to be. And that's not always the case. So can people evolve? Can people change? Either way, if he would have did something slimy back to Pooh Shiesty, if he would have went back and got it in blood and plotted revenge and went to prison for it, you guys would have said Gucci Mane crashed out. He should have never did that. He is a CEO. He is a husband. He is a father. Why would he throw away his life like that? But then when he point out Pooh Shiesty and do it the right way and put him in jail, you guys are going to talk bad about him either way. So it's like one of those situations like, dang if he do, dang if he don't. So you guys let me know how you think that this grown man Gucci should have handled the situation. But at the same time, my opinion is at least he spared his life. You know, at least Gucci Mane spared his life, because it could have took a turn for the worse. Think about it. So I'm sure Pooh Shiesty's mother can appreciate that. Anyways, moving on. even though I feel like she failed as a mother and the father failed as a father as well. But, that's the life they come from. The victims identified Williams Sr. Instagram account as Mob Ties Global. Photographs on the account referred to Williams Sr. and Williams Jr. as father and son. MMBP and RD all identify Wright, a well-known hip-hop artist, also known as Big 30. So Gucci Mane pointed out Big 30 as well and said that he was present during this kidnapping and robbery. MM and RD identify his Instagram account as CEO Big 30, which is verified by Instagram. The account contains photographs of Wright with Williams Jr. and Waters, and investigators located a Facebook account associated with Wright depicting him and Williams Jr.'s as Waters. All right, let me breathe. Let me get a sip of water. Okay. MM and BP identified KD as a nickname for Waters and described him as Williams Jr.'s right-hand man. Okay, so MM, which is the officer, and BP identified KD. Okay, so MM and BP. So both of those are the security officers. And they identified KD as a nickname for Waters and described him as Williams Jr. right-hand man. MM described Waters' attire during the offense as a black hoodie with a white stripes down the sleeve, which matches an individual captured on surveillance video. At the offense location, investigators matched Waters' driver's license photograph to the individual depicted throughout KD 375. So what they did was, they identified, you guys, they identified them through their license as well. They want to make sure, look, we got the right people. On surveillance footage from the offense, am I skipping something? BP identified an individual he knew as Dan Fool 375 as present during the offense and described his physical appearance and clothing. Investigators located the Instagram account and an associated Facebook account featuring photographs with Williams Jr., Wright, and other target suspects. Investigators matched Rogers' state identification photograph to the individual depicted on these accounts. On surveillance footage from the offense location, the individual believed to be Rogers can be seen exiting the building carrying what appears to be the Louis Vuitton bag. MM reported stolen on January 15th. Rogers posted a video on Dan Fool 375 showing him wearing a Rolex GMT Master 2, aka Batman Rolex, with an oyster steel band that appears visually similar to the watch stolen from MM, who provided investigators with proof of purchase, okay, with photographs, a receipt, a serial number for the stolen watch. Additional posts on Dan Fool 375 shows Rogers wearing shoes similar to those he wore during the offense. Oh gosh. So just imagine someone doing when they take your life with a pow pow, right? And you know how on the movies when they're walking through the crime scene and blood is at the bottom of their foot, right? So guess what this person does? Those same shoes that he did the crime with, he has a picture of them on his Instagram. You see how that sounds? So you didn't even try to delete the picture. You didn't even delete the Instagram. So after the crime, y'all didn't even think, oh my God, you didn't even think to delete the Instagram. Probably still got the shoes at your house somewhere. Anyways, moving on. Finds out that Batman Rolex with the oyster steel band is a rare watch and was able to be identified from the footage on Instagram. Further research by investigators corroborated MM's statement about the rarity of a Batman Rolex through internet searches. So what are they saying? Basically, you can afford this. Or basically, this is one of one. So if I got it already, how you get it? And look at them online. Look at them flexing the watches. You guys got to stop flexing for people that only see you guys as entertainment. They only see your life as entertainment. Why are you trying to prove a point and flex on a whole bunch of people that don't really care? These people are not going to put money in your commentary. Like when you're used to something, you don't have to show off every little piece of things that you get, and especially something that's stolen. I think that's very crazy. Anyways, moving on, guys. So MM identified the Instagram user as Twin CMO as the individual who choked Scratch and wanted to shoot him during the offense. Investigators matched Glover's driver's license photo to the individual depicted on the account, and Wright's criminal history revealed a prior arrest with Glover. Oh, okay. So they checked you guys' records. So they checked your records and found out that you and one of the other suspects did a crime together. So you guys know each other. Wow. See, the FBI, they don't play. They gonna make sure they dot their I's and cross their T's, okay? Number 45, Instagram records obtained pursuant to a state of Texas search warrant revealed the following post from Twin CMO. January 11th, 2026, 9:13 a.m., a story featuring a larger amount of cash, Rolex visually similar to the one stolen from MM, and a location tag of Dallas, Texas. So right here, this guy, he takes a picture of the Rolex, a bunch of cash, and guess what he did? He tags his location in Dallas. So boom, that lets us know right there you were in Dallas at the time of the crime, which corroborates the victim's statements. So you guys just left a paper trail. You left an easy paper trail for the FBI. January 11th, 2026, 6:12 p.m., a video showing individuals visually similar to Rogers and Gibson's flashing large amounts of money and a watch. So these are still pictures right here from the video. January 17th, 2026, a story showing Glover with a Rolex that appears identical to the one stolen from MM, stating he got a new rope, which is believed to be slang for watches or necklace. Okay, yeah, so this is a rope necklace, and this is the same necklace that they allegedly stole because they reported that it was a 1017 chain stole as well. So January 19th, 2026, videos of Glover wearing a necklace with a 1017 pendant that appears identical to the one stolen from BP. Exactly. Wow. And I see why Gucci Mane made the song, the disc record Crash Dummies. BP identified an individual he knew as Baby Slime 375 as present during the offense. Okay, so this is the security or the off-duty officer, describing him as a short, younger black male with darker skin who wore a Shiesty mask and beanie and held BP and others at gunpoint. A December 20th, 2025 Instagram story posted by Twin CMO tagged Baby Slime 375. Memphis investigators identified Baby Slime 375 as Corday Johnson from a previous gang investigations. So you guys already have a rap sheet. So it was easy for detectives from a different what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? A different branch or whatever, a different department, yes. So the investigators from a different department, most likely like the gang affiliated side of the police department, they already knew who you guys were. So they corroborated that as well because of your history. BP identified Glizzy 375 as a young black male with a low fade haircut who wore all black and a Shiesty mask during the offense and threatened to shoot BP before Williams Jr. intervened. Okay, so this guy was threatened to shoot the guy, but Pooh Shiesty said no. Online investigative research identified Glizzy 375 as an Instagram account associated with Darian McDaniel, and Memphis investigators confirmed the individual depicted on the account appears visually similar to McDaniel. Okay. Let's read this fine print. Message 375 is a song by Pooh Shiesty featuring Big 30. The number 375 is featured in many of the Instagram accounts. See, I was trying to figure out what 375 is. Like, is it an area code? What does 375 mean? Okay. So, all right, that the individual depicted throughout Mookie Rue 375 matches Gibson's recent arrest booking photograph. The account features the identifiers 375 and CMO and is followed by multiple target suspects. All right, so now we are going to talk about so basically right here, these are bullet points of what we read already. So this is a summary. These are notes about each suspect. Let's read it. We might as well because it's not that many more pages to go. So let's talk about DeMarcus Glover. DeMarcus Glover. So the eyewitness accounts state that Glover produced a handgun or an AR-AK style pistol and robbed MM of his personal property. Surveillance video and eyewitness accounts place Glover at the offense location and following the offense at the Comfort Inn with the other target suspects wearing clothing consistent with what the suspects in the kidnapping robbery appeared to be wearing. Glover posted multiple videos of himself and other target suspects on Instagram, flashing cash and wearing what appeared to be the stolen jewelry. They made it so easy. They made it so easy for the cops. Greyhound bus line records indicate that Glover traveled with other target suspects on January 11th, 2026 from Dallas, Texas to Memphis, Tennessee. Glover's electronic leg monitor corroborates his presence at or near the offense location at the time of the kidnapping and robbery. So yes, I was trying to figure out, was Pooh Shiesty the only one with an ankle monitor? He was not. Glover also had one. Now, Demarion Gibson surveillance video and eyewitness accounts state that Gibson left the office building and returned with a bag, presumably containing firearms. Surveillance and eyewitness accounts placed Gibson at the offense location and following the offense at the Comfort Inn with other target suspects wearing clothing consistent with what the suspects in the kidnapping robbery appeared to be wearing. Cell phone records indicate Gibson traveled from Memphis, Tennessee to Dallas, Texas on January 9th, 2026 and placed Gibson in the area of the offense location during the offense. So he traveled there a day before the offense took place. Greyhound bus line records indicate Gibson traveled with other target suspects on January 11th after the incident from Dallas, Texas back to Memphis, Tennessee. All right, so Gibson's latent print was lifted from the crime scene. On January 11, 2026, Glover posted an Instagram video of Rogers and Gibson on a bus showing them flashing large amounts of money. So they even took pictures on the Greyhound bus with the stolen goods. Corday Johnson, eyewitness accounts state that Johnson held BP and others at gunpoint inside the recording studio control room. Surveillance video and eyewitness accounts placed Johnson at the offense location and following the offense at the Comfort Inn with other target suspects wearing clothing consistent with what the suspects in the kidnapping robbery appeared to be wearing. Now, cell phone records indicate that Johnson traveled from Memphis, Tennessee to Dallas, Texas, arriving on January 9th. Cell phone records indicate Johnson traveled back to Memphis, Tennessee from Dallas, Texas with other target suspects on January 13th. All right, so somebody left 3 days after the incident. So it seems as if everybody was leaving at different times. All right, so let's talk about Darian McDaniel. Eyewitness accounts state that McDaniel stole jewelry from BP at gunpoint while threatening to shoot him. That sounds like the one that Pooh Shiesty was like, don't do it. All right, surveillance video and eyewitness accounts placed McDaniel at the offense location and following the offense at the Comfort Inn with other targeted suspects wearing clothing consistent with what the suspects in the kidnapping robbery appeared to be wearing. Greyhound bus lines records indicate McDaniel traveled with other target suspects on January 11th, 2026 from Dallas, Texas to Memphis, Tennessee. Glover posted a video to his Instagram account on January 11th of an individual he knows as Glizzy, a known nickname of McDaniel, flashing a large amount of cash. Okay, I'm trying to get to Terrence Rogers, Latrell Williams. Let's get to Latrell Williams, which is Pooh Shiesty, and then we'll get to his dad. All right, so Pooh Shiesty. Eyewitness accounts state that Williams Jr. brought Gucci Mane into the recording studio and demanded that RD sign the release contract at gunpoint before taking RD's wedding ring, watch, earrings, and cash. Can you guys believe that the guy, the artist, the rapper that he gave a chance to not only kidnapped him, but robbed him? So he really was taking off Gucci Mane's ring, watch, earrings, and cash. Wow. Eyewitness accounts also placed Williams Jr. in the room when the additional kidnapping and robberies of MM and BP occurred. So they're gonna put that charge on all y'all. Even if you was not the one that was kidnapping MM and BP, Shiesty, you're gonna get that charge as well. Cell phone records, electronic location monitoring, and surveillance footage placed Williams Jr. at the offense location. Electronic location monitoring data also places Williams Jr. at a Staples location with his father, believed to be printing the termination contract prior to arriving at the offense location. So they was like, oh, y'all, hurry up. We forgot to print out the contract. Let's hurry up and run to the Staples over here real quick. Ciao. Okay, so Latrell Williams Sr. is Pooh Shiesty's father. Eyewitness accounts state that Williams Sr. procured the recording studio where the offense occurred. So Pooh Shiesty's father is the one that booked the studio. Williams Sr. assisted Williams Jr. in procuring RD's signature on the purported contract release. So he was right there when it was all going down, helping him make sure Gucci Mane signed the release. You remember? Because he's the one that said, oh, put the date on it. Surveillance footage from the day of the offense shows Williams Sr. entering the building unmasked and later exiting the building carrying a backpack he did not have when he entered. Surveillance footage and eyewitnesses accounts place Williams Sr. at the offense location and following the offense wearing similar clothing to what the suspects in the kidnapping and robbery appeared to be wearing. Subpoena records and cell phone records placed him in the area of the offense location during the offense. Subpoena records and surveillance footage placed Williams Sr. at a Staples location believed to be printing the termination contract prior to arriving at the offense location. Rodney Wright Jr. That's Big 30. Eyewitness account states that Wright went to the recording room during the Williams Jr. conversation with RD and returned with a bag containing firearms. Okay, so Big 30 is the one that Pooh Shiesty said, hey, go get the bag, go get my bag. Eyewitness accounts state that Wright filmed the release of the contract. So he also was the one that was filming. Surveillance footage and eyewitness accounts place Wright at the offense location, and following the offense wearing similar clothing to what the suspects in the kidnapping and robbery appeared to be wearing. Cell phone records indicate Wright traveled to Dallas, Texas in a vehicle registered to his father prior to the offense and placed him in the area of the offense location during the offense. Cell phone records indicate Wright traveled back to Memphis, Tennessee with other target suspects on January 13th. All right. Based on the facts set forth above, there is a probable cause to believe that on January 10th, 2026, in the Dallas Division of Northern District of Texas, DeMarcus, Demarion, Corday, Darian, Terrence, Darius, Lontrell Williams Sr., and Rodney White Jr. conspired to and committed kidnapping in violation of 18 U.S.S.C. 1201 A and C. And this was signed off by the FBI agent Brittany Garcia and the Honorable Renee Harris Tolliver, which is the judge of Northern District of Texas. Wow. That was a lot. You guys tell me what you guys think after hearing all of this paperwork. How do you feel about Gucci Mane pointing out the suspects that robbed him? Do you feel that his gangster persona in rap music is over? Because he's not, he had like this no snitch policy, and now he snitched. Or do you believe that it's good that he changed and he handled the situation like a grown man and he evolved? He's not who he used to be. I don't blame Gucci Mane. If he's going to fully change, if that's his new truth, then he did what he had to do, because either way the internet is going to scold him and diss him. Either way it goes. So I feel like he just did what was best for him and what is best for his family. Because at the end of the day, if he would have retaliated in a violent manner, you guys would have just used it as entertainment and that's it. And he would have had to do the time alone. All right. So let's exit out of this. I'll see you guys on the next one. That was fun. If you guys made it to the end, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next video, okay? Bye.